It's an important video, and I need you to start sharing, subscribing. This works only if it can go viral, and it affects everybody across this country. Corruption and the deep state is real. All right, let's start by saying this. I'm going to post an article from the Manchester Union leader. Now, those who have followed me have known that I have caught them and outed them as being a media source for the deep state. I want you to think about this. What they do, for instance, with a whistleblower, if you destroy the man, you destroy his message. That's what they've done with me. When I went after the drug cartel, they've had multiple front page articles about Dick Aganos being arrested. From his home, roadblocks across the highway, from the airport arrests. Now try to find them. They blocked them. Instead, they make him Businessman of the Year. Well, they're doing the same thing with Alex Walker. They're trying to sell you on that lie. So this article, you're going to see that Alex Walker wins an appeal against Aaron Day. Aaron Day was my witness against the drug cartel. He opened the door for over 100 more witnesses. Aaron Day ran for senator, was my campaign manager for governor. He was just afraid of dying. He was also afraid, and they leveraged him on the cartel side. Walker was maneuvering him as he was the puppet master, as I told you before. And you're going to see a 44-page report from an honest attorney named Marisa Pursuto, who called Walker directly the puppet master. And you'll get to read that report. The same report the FBI has and knows it's true. But you'll also see where in the same article sued Mike Gill for $5 million. My attorney, right, said that he tried to murder me. No, not just once, 3 times. Again, FBI has all that evidence. I turned down $50 million with his name on it, Alex Walker. And ask yourself, would they kill you for $50 million? But see, there's the extortion of silencing him and selling this guy, who's now the executive vice president of the Catholic Medical Center. Where do you think the fentanyl's coming out of but the hospitals? I go on. You're going to see another article, ready? And just recently, where Senator Jeanne Shaheen refuses to be vetted by Biden to become the vice president of the United States, at least in consideration. She goes, no, don't vet me. If you've been following me all these years, Attorney Bill Shaheen, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager at one time, leading fundraiser in the country, right? Standing right behind Biden. I told you, along with Senator Shaheen, they run a crime syndicate. That same crime syndicate is part of the deep state. I have them cold. Trump knows that because he's taken this evidence. He may not want to take some of them out, but she sure the hell wants to take her out, which is why she doesn't want to be vetted. No, she doesn't want to be vice president and make history. Bull. That's exactly why. Now, I want you to think about this report. Again, written by Marisa Pursuto. Maybe the one attorney that not only was honest, but brave. She was working with Morrison Mahoney on this malpractice suit against Walker Shaheen, several law firms, up until the point where she was afraid to be murdered, and maybe even more concerned about my life. And not only will you read the investigation in her attached 44-page report, where you will see the inner workings of how the deep state works within our states, not my state, every state, and controlling the courts. She discovers it. She outs them. She gives their report, and she goes to the FBI with it. You read the report, and you tell me if you don't relate. And what turns out to be the deep state from after this report is they offered me the $50 million on several occasions. And just as often, they tried to murder me. And I'm going to read a few texts before you see that report, so you can see that that was Maurice's fear as she was discovering the depth of this corruption. Now, part of what you'll read in this 44 pages is her reference to these corrupt law firms, as I told you, which starts the roots of the deep states. And she says, are corrupt, right? She names them. She names the lawyers. She names Bill Shaheen and calls Alex Walker the puppet master, who was the president of Divine Millimat. You'll also see that these law firms infiltrated our AG's office, and they protect the leverage from the Department of Revenue, the banking department, who are laundering the money for the corrupt, and the drug cartels. See, those same lawyers that become judges work in your AG's office and works in multiple departments within the state. That's how this corruption works, deep state. It starts in the state and rises to a federal level because these same lawyers become politicians, as Shaheen is the senator. Now, as the Senator Shaheen, who's been cited several times and had to confess to targeting enemies with the IRS. Believe me, I'm an enemy. And that $50 million settlement offer is the IRS on there. And after this, again, you'll see a text where Maria suggested I go to the criminal division, TITCA, of the IRS and call them, which I did, only to find out they put even a bigger cover-up operation. TICA, the Treasury, Tim Campus, the Deputy General of the Treasury in investigations, caught on tape, saying that they put moles in my office. Curtis Morley, the TICA agent I was working with, Tom Morley, the TICA agent, his brother Curtis Morley, as an account, was intercepting my mail for 3 years. This is what Donald Trump's going to use to target the IRS, who's targeting him. And also, all this information is with the FBI. They have it. I have inventory lists. U.S. Attorney Lelland, the most powerful U.S. attorney in this country for the most powerful Boston FBI. I'm going to show you that she caught the U.S. attorney prior to Lelland involved in this cover-up, named Ortiz. And let me give you an idea of the depth of the corruption of the Boston FBI. How many of you heard of Robert Mueller? He was a U.S. attorney in the Boston FBI. How's this? You see this guy, Bill Shaheen, and his partner, Steve Gordon, who's the head of this law firm? What were they? Oh, that's right. They were a U.S. attorney. They were assistant U.S. attorney. Those U.S. attorneys control the FBI and prosecute the cases for the FBI. If they're corrupt, so is the FBI, which is, again, why nobody goes to jail. All right, so let's have you look with me. This was coming to this end of this 44-page investigation, and Marisa was texting me. In fact, I'll read you through these texts, which was our last communications, because she didn't want to end up like another attorney that came forward, Darla Cedric, who was living in hiding, fearful of her life. And I have those text messages too. But let's start with Marisa. And you can see the tone starting getting more serious. And she was more in danger, but particularly afraid for me being murdered. Now, what would they kill you for? Well, we didn't know then it was the deep state. Our evidence was going to get into the banking department, which was to launder their money. Listen, it's easy to steal. It's a lot harder to hide the money, which is why U.S. Attorney Durham was investigating the Ukraine. Do you know what U.S. Attorney Durham was investigating before the Ukraine? the Boston FBI for corruption. No kidding. I was giving them that evidence. And I found the laundering. I was in banking for 30 years. You don't think I know how to follow the flow of money? I've got their banks. I've got their credit unions. I've got even their offshore launderers by name. Okay, let's go to these texts. Mike, I have some info that will change the face of the thing, but you need to be super careful, including your own safety physically. The information she was finding was the depth of this corruption. But you have to do it covertly. Your safety is in danger. Your safety is in danger. Do not be vocal moving forwards. Be predictor. What she was afraid of was, as we were finding this information out, that I would be murdered if they found out how deep I got. And truthfully, I was keeping it quiet because I knew the depth and we were going deeper. Any offensive measures be covert or they will fail. I think you have been underestimating the true evil nature of things. It's true. I don't know if I wasn't this conspiracy theorist. I didn't know the depth of this kind of corruption. And I surely didn't know that we were fighting evil. And that's what she was seeing. Please assume you were up against evil, not just corrupt. Boy, was she right. Keep your entire plan secret. Again, you keep underestimating the fear factor of this very evil, corrupt group at the top, beyond just criminal. The top was the deep state. We were finding their money. We were finding their network of judges. We were incriminating the AG's office. And only later the FBI, she didn't even know it went to that, raised to that level. They scare the hell out of the little guys practicing on their own. What I'm telling you, many lawyers know, but they're in fear. Or her words, they scare the hell out of them. They don't scare me. They're gonna have to kill me to shut me up. Mike, there is an all-powerful big firms. Remember I told you the roots of the deep state start with these law firms? And that's what she's saying. All you have sued, connected to the judiciary, certain judges. This is a closed network, protecting each other and running all the show. This is what's going on in family court in every state in this country. This is why you're being cheated by insurers. This is why pharmaceutical companies can kill your children and get away with it. Big banks can steal your property and get away with it because they pay for protection from this network. Mike, but it's really predicting is to read the level of evil properly. Regular chess moves do not work with evil. She refers to chess moves because I was catching them and I was moving them. And the plan was to corrupt them and arrest them through the FBI and the criminal division of the IRS, who knew they were corrupt too, which Marisa didn't stay to see. Mike, I'm sorry, I just want you to be safe. Call private investigators, interview until you find the ones you trust, and hire some personal security that he recommends. She wanted me to have armed guards walking with me. And the truth be told, these people at the level of corruption, it's the guards that I would have hired that would have killed me. Mike, I'm saying this for your own good. Stop turning to New Hampshire attorneys for help. You're playing right into their hands. Every person, I said, they can't all be corrupt, but they can all be extorted and become corrupt. Keep your enemies close this time. Play along. Set them up. I can get more done behind the scenes. I did. But who do you give it to? Ask yourself this. The victims across this country are reading it. Who have you gone to that's helped you? There is nobody. They blocked all the exits. Best find a seasoned, clean tax attorney to pursue the IRS. Obviously, Ortiz's office got a call when they had their heads up. Simple thing for them to do. Carmen Ortiz was the U.S. attorney prosecuting for the FBI. They got to her. And who's the next one? Lullen. The same U.S. attorney as Ortiz has all this evidence. Instead of prosecuting them, not only did the FBI run a cover-up, but they ran an operation to destroy my evidence, extort witnesses for their silence, even when that evidence was murder. In fact, here she goes. It is the criminal division, investigation division at the IRS for reporting tax fraud. I will look into this. Gene says they are better than the FBI. Gene Kempthorne was a judge who turned around and said, listen, let's bring in Titka. As you know, we have them on recording. Not just anybody from the criminal division. The top investigator, the deputy general of the Treasury, Camus, running a cover-up. I'll watch it. Also, last night I was watching Zero Dark 30, movie about catching bin Laden, penetrating the terrorist organization, finding the truth, reminded me of the New Hampshire legal terrorists. And believe me, that's the same way in each and every one of our states. The closed, corrupt, protected old boy network is the reason your whole life has been fucked. Well, I could have taken their $50 million. And you'll see her reference the settlements offer. The last thing that was my last communication. I guess my life was fucked. But she refers to this 44 page at the end that they were offering me that money. If I was to take that money, it was under the conditions that you will never know. From family court, from all these corporations that allow from killing your children to stealing your homes, you would never know. President Trump knows, because I've given this evidence to his lead aides, most trusted aides, Stephen Gregory, bureau chief of Epoch Times, Patrick Howley, big lead politics, also of Epoch Times, partners or best friends with Roger Stone, worked with Steve Bannon, covered for Lewandowski. Well, that's 3 campaign managers of the president. So let's not assume he doesn't know. So please, read these 44 pages from one honest attorney who was finding this evidence and working with Morrison Mahoney, and to all the clients of Morris Mahoney. They represented Liberty the insurer from the beginning. As she said, it was a fix from the beginning. And the settlement offer came from them. Please read this and please share it. Mike Gill, State of Corruption.